Hey everyone, how's it going today? Thank you very much for joining today's conversation. Today, kind of as the title says, we're going to talk about television. Thought with the new TV lineup coming this fall, coming up next week, looks like a lot of shows are starting. So just want to get your thoughts on what's interesting, what do you think is cool that's coming out, and then just general thoughts around television and shows and the streaming services and so forth. So today we'll spend some time talking about all that. But as we get started, I'm just, as you see, send some instructions to everyone. I think today I'm going to actually show you a little bit about what I see on my side of the screen in terms of the communication, just so you can see what I see, and then as well, just like how I interact with you through the Remesh platform as we go through the conversation today. So as we get started, I'm going to kind of just make sure everyone's ready to go, send out a quick poll question to the group. And then as long as everyone's ready to get started, we'll get started. So I'm waiting for everyone to go. Again, I'm going to go through some questions here that a mix of getting, I see some new shows, see some advertisements for shows that are coming out, as well as just obviously everyone has their favorite shows that are coming out. And so just getting, see what we're talking about. We kind of heard some feedback previously. We want to talk about more everyday things versus politics or current events. And so this is our attempt just to have a random conversation about kind of everyday things in television. We'll try to do a mix of these type of things versus conversations about specific topics as we kind of do this. Looks like pretty much everyone's ready to go. Looks like might be one person not ready, but hopefully they're able to catch up. If you're not ready, we'll give you a second here. And so again, like as I talked about, fall TV lineup coming up next week. Emmys are behind us, so we're going to talk about TV. Hopefully, the majority of you watch at least some TV. Doesn't mean that you have to be an avid TV watcher to participate in the conversation. Just curious to get your thoughts on television as we go through this. So first off, you'll see a question that is related to what TV shows are you most looking forward to and why? And I'll provide some commentary as I start to see responses come in from the group, talk about what I'm excited about or how I watch TV. I'm a little bit different. I don't watch a lot of the TV shows on network television. I do utilize a lot of streaming services to watch television, but I will try to provide some comment as we go through this. So Stranger Things looks like people are excited about. At least one person. Star Trek Discovery, this new show coming out, from my understanding, and should be interesting. Love Sci-Fi and Trek overall. Ghosted looks funny. Lots of different variety of things that people are looking forward to. So it won't be quite as talkative during this one because it's going to be more of really like understanding and listening to you as I go through this versus you asking questions or me talking or me and someone else talking about a specific subject. More so just trying to see what you have and like just add this element of having video and me interacting with you as we go through this to be able to just kind of keep it real. So. So again, kind of going back, seeing what people are saying so far. Looks like people are looking forward to Supergirl, NCIS, Stranger Things, Supernatural, The Brave, different things. Ghosted again in there from the group. So, cool. Quickly ask the group kind of what type of TV shows, like what type of genre you're mostly interested in watching on television, and then we'll go from there. So doing that, I'm going to kind of look through what people are interested and excited about. Supernatural, Stranger Things, Game of Thrones. I think we might have to wait a while for new episodes of Game of Thrones. Looks like they're just starting to film, but from what I hear, rumor is that it's going to be a while until season 8 comes out. The Handmaid's Tale, saw it won some awards. I personally have not watched it, but obviously hear great things about it. Stranger Things Again, The Walking Dead, Netflix show about the zombie mom. I think I've seen the advertisements for that. Not seen that one either. Walking Dead, Ghosted, Star Trek, of course, The Orville, Handmaid's Tale, Season 2, Modern Family, The Voice, so a little bit of that reality television competition show in there. Looks like 40% of people, about 40% like drama TV or primarily watch drama TV on that. So, quick question for the group. In your mind, what networks or streaming services do you view as most innovative? Netflix kind of coming up from the group. Hulu, Netflix, and AMC. HBO, and so forth. Well, kind of going back to the group of what people are looking forward to. Trying to see if there's anything else that's interesting from that side. Designated Survivor, seeing a lot of advertisements for that. Star Wars Rebels and the new DuckTales. Seems interesting to me. Kind of like looking at what people think is innovative from the group, kind of hearing from the group, like a lot of the Netflix and Hulu, of course, major networks are doing well too. Netflix, the most innovative considering they're largely responsible for multiple bankruptcies from major companies like Blockbuster. Good point. Netflix is really good at keeping up with technology and setting precedent for streaming services. I think it's good. I think it's really interesting in how they've kind of focused in on the content side of it. Both content here in the U.S. I've seen a lot of work that they've done kind of content internationally as well, and even sometimes bringing in shows that are popular international on international networks and giving access to those, or even redoing them or adding another season to them to be able to watch here in the U.S. From my side, I find that really interesting, really being able to find good content and so forth. I also think kind of what they did with a couple different people, for example, Master of None. I have been a big fan of that show on Netflix. And I think what they did in terms of that, they kind of gave free reign in a lot of cases for Aziz Ansari to really run with it. You know, they kind of trusted and believed in him as a person, as a creative person, and gave him the ownership to be able to drive something really cool. And I think what's happened overall is obviously that it's done very well, been a very successful show. In my opinion, it's been a very real show. Like, been really interesting to watch that show and see that it's very different from other shows that are out there. But like taking on subjects and things that I think are really interesting. If you haven't watched it, definitely recommend it. In terms of on Netflix. Myself living in New York, it also has a different flavor to it. A lot of the seasons are based in New York, so it kind of like takes on some of the everyday lives of both normal New Yorkers, kind of people living that same vibe, as well as just being very real life examples of things going on. So I think it's cool. I think like looking at like what people are saying to the innovative question around what's innovative, what does it mean to be innovative when it comes to television, new ideas and methods of providing entertainment. I think that's really interesting. I think that's like where things have evolved. Like it's, you know, the TV shows isn't just one formulaic thing, but in terms of reality TV and competitions to like reinvigorating different ways of coming up with competition shows that are just really interesting and get people passionate about the shows. I think it's been cool. I think that's I think some places are doing pretty interesting stuff with that. Different way of looking at a story, coming up with new ideas and creating popular shows. Obviously, more straightforward. Different, you know, change with the times to be different and spontaneous. It's cool. So I'm curious to look into that a little bit more. Thanks so much for the feedback so far. It's kind of question like what trends or themes are you seeing that you think are really unique or different? What struck you as different on TV today versus what maybe you've seen in the past or kind of what you're normally watching and so forth. Again, I'm going to kind of look at what you've gone through in that last question. I'm curious to see what you think is innovative in terms of television and so forth, new services, fresh ideas. not rehashing the same things over and over. So I think that's obviously, there's lots of storylines that are redone over and over again, but being creative and different about that is obviously cool. Taking on new topics and themes, I think, has been really interesting. Not playing everything safe. Don't make every plot or conversation super obvious. Trust that people understand the complexity. That's cool. New formats, taking new chances on new shows. Cool. I think it's for some really good thoughts and perspective on that in terms of what makes things innovative. Thanks so much for the responses, and kind of go through this a little bit more in depth as I go through. Kind of now talking about what trends. Obviously supernatural, so it's kind of pretty frequently here in terms of hit shows can be focused on supernatural, not just a specific group of viewers. I think that's actually interesting. Non-linear storytelling, and so how it's just not, that it's kind of like back and forth, or different flashbacks and so forth, and how the storytelling is done, which makes it interesting. Kind of like learn, kind of keep up with the show as it goes through. Mixing of genres from drama and sci-fi and so forth. A lot more options. Wide variety of shows. Topics addressed on shows that were formerly taboo or uncomfortable, like autism, gender identity, etc. I think that's true. There's a lot more, less, I think there's a little bit more risk taking in terms of what people are doing, but then just trying to be more true for what they're putting out in terms of television show. That's not always just one specific topic, a group of people. That life has many different angles, and taking on a lot of those different angles in real life is we've seen a lot of, which is cool. All right, so last question, kind of in this type of area, we're going to say, since if you were in charge of the Emmys next year, what new category would you put for best of, and why? Then I'm going to shift into some questions around, obviously, with changing habits and how people watch TV. It's interesting to get some perspective of how those changes, or what you're looking for, what makes you want to watch something live versus not live, and so forth. So we'll dive into a couple questions like that, and that's it. We're going to kind of keep this pretty short today, around 20 minutes, so that we can kind of go through this, and we'll go on, and everyone can have a good weekend after that. So best of trendsetters, because that is a recently new category. Political, best of multi-series season. So that's actually interesting, not just the season that it is, but kind of looking at it from the breadth of its library in terms of how it was brought up before. Realistic technology portrayal. That person has Mr. Robot as their entry, which I think is a really cool show as well. I think that's on USA, I believe, but great show. Edgy, best of streaming media, so just focusing in on streaming media versus kind of the cable or paid cable areas or networks. Best of being different and unique. Best social commentary. Very cool. Cool. So I'm going to after this is done, I'm going to just kind of pause and see if you guys have any questions or anything you want to bring up to me, and then we're going to continue on with a few more questions, and we'll wrap up. It's very cool to look at some of these ideas. Creative writing. I think we need more creativity and more intelligent scripts, and character scripts that are clever and mentally stimulating instead of just blend hacky jokes, for example. So I think that's good. I think there has been some creativity in some of the creative writing writers that is brought up. So we'll kind of go from there. Looking through any questions that have come up so far. Someone asked, what is my career? So I work here at Remesh. Right now, I am head of like product strategy and product here. But kind of it started off, it's a startup here. We're based in New York and Cleveland, and started off here kind of doing business development, sales, and customer success, and working with our customers. And I've now kind of shifted over to working with our product team to like bring the voice of our customers and what they want and into the strategy and what we're trying to build. So still kind of customer focused, but in terms of how that relates to like helping us build a really cool product moving forward. So your feedback as we have these type of sessions is also really valuable for me personally to see what do you like about this, what could be better. And so that's why I'm doing these where look for be creative. So cool. What shows am I most looking forward to is the top thing. So I'm going to put out a next question. But while we're waiting for you guys to respond, I'll try to respond to that. So what shows am I most looking forward to? I'm going to be very honest. So I don't watch a lot of the TV shows that are on network television. I do watch a decent amount that are on like HBO, as well as Netflix, are primarily where I will watch TV shows, and much more as kind of this question that's going to come up is around how do I primarily watch television? I primarily watch through streaming or through online. What I'm most looking forward to, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but it's the new season of Narcos that was released a couple weeks ago on Netflix. So that's why what I'm looking forward to actually getting into. Hopefully I have some time here in the next couple weeks to get into that show. Watch the first 2 seasons, really like it. So find it interesting. So, cool. I'll answer some of the other questions as we go through some of this too. Someone's asking why my shelves are so empty. It's a good question. I don't know. I have things on my shelf on the other side of the camera, but I don't have a big book collection to put on the shelves here. I have this picture in the background, which is a city that I used to live in the Netherlands called Maastricht. So that's what that picture is of. But otherwise, the shelves, I do need to get some more stuff for those shelves. All right, so looking into what makes you want to watch a TV show live, and I think I saw one of these things, which was like high-profile shows, such as Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, those things where spoilers are going to happen. Like I found, I used to, for example, Game of Thrones. I didn't really watch the first, I would say, 5 seasons, and then I all of a sudden decided I wanted to catch up before season 6 started, and so I somehow had really avoided the pop culture phenomenon around the show, so didn't really know the different seasons or what was going on. And so as I was watching, it was really cool because I was able to actually watch it authentically and understand what was going on without being having things spoiled or knowing what was going to happen moving forward. But then as I started watching it live, I found that I was every week, it was just how do I, if I didn't watch it on Sunday, how do I avoid seeing anything or reading anything online, and sometimes it's really hard on social media and other things to just not see any of the spoilers that come out. So that's why that's one of the few shows that I have now started watching live as it actually is released, because it was just so hard to avoid the spoilers and kept getting things ruined that I figured I might as well, if there's anything, spare some time on a Sunday night to watch it live. Actually go through. I think that's really a good thing. Then there's other things in terms of relevant moments that comes through here, must-see television, season premieres, finales, and so forth. I also would say also from a sports perspective, I guess it's not a TV show, but sports, obviously you want to be able to watch live. Again, spoilers, and also you want to be part of the experience and part of everything as it goes through. So I'm going to ask this question around cutting the cord. I'm going to ask one more question, and then we're going to kind of end it for the day. I know we said try to keep this around 20 minutes, so ask this one question more, and then we'll wrap up, and hopefully everyone. So for those that already have cut the cord, which actually is, I'm interested to see, it's a large percentage of you. For those that do pay for cable, I do want to know what holds you back. So not everyone has to answer this this question, and then we're going to kind of wrap up here. So. Local news kind of coming up. Again, for me, I have more recently, I would say, cut the cord. I used to always still have cable, but only for sports. Everything else I felt like could get online through Netflix or other services, and sports was the one thing that I was holding out for. But it looks like, to be honest, a lot of people have cut the cord from what I'm seeing. Other than watching news, watching sports on TV. Obviously, Netflix doesn't provide that type of content in terms of live news as it's happening versus like live sports. Potentially, that's an opportunity for them to think about, and how they can create partnerships with sports and news networks to be able to provide some of that content, so that they can become a one-stop place. I know Hulu, and specifically, has brought on their live TV package. So in addition to their kind of streaming on-demand service, they also have the live TV service. I think it's $35 or $40 a month, which does provide live TV. YouTube TV has that as well, for live TV through that. But yeah, it looks like sports. So watch hockey again, the sports side of it, so forth, other packages and so forth. But I think a lot of the folks here have actually cut the cord. So on that note, let's wrap up the conversation, and I'll send to everyone their code. And that's it. So everyone have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for partaking in the conversation. Curious to look through more of your comments as I go through here. But in the meantime, have a great weekend and take care.